Have you ever looked at an old map and felt a shiver run down your spine? Not just because of its age, but because of the secrets it might hold. Today, we're diving into one of history's most baffling artifacts, the Piri Reis map. This isn't just a piece of old parchment. It's a puzzle that has stumped historians, cartographers, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. A map that seems to show lands long before they were officially discovered. How is this possible? Let's set sail back in time and uncover the mystery. The year is 1513. The place, Gallipoli, a bustling port in the Ottoman Empire. The night is dark and stormy. Rain lashes against the windows of a workshop, and with every crash of waves against the shore, the oil lamps inside flicker, casting long, dancing shadows. The air is thick with the scent of sea salt, old paper, and fresh ink. This is the world of Piri Reis, a legendary Ottoman admiral and cartographer. Imagine him now, an elderly man, his face a roadmap of a life spent at sea. Deep wrinkles crease his forehead, but his eyes, even at this late hour, burn with an insatiable curiosity. He's a true sea wolf, grizzled and wise, dressed in a crimson kaftan. In his hand, a delicate quill pen hovers over a massive map spread across his grand wooden table. This isn't just any map. This is his life's work, the culmination of years of sailing, fighting, and, most importantly, collecting knowledge. Look closer at his table. It's a treasure trove for any explorer. There are inkwells holding vibrant colors, brass rulers, a compass, and a beautiful, intricate astrolabe, used for navigating by the stars. But among these tools lies something even more precious, a collection of older maps. Piri Reis himself tells us he compiled his masterpiece from about 20 different source charts. Some were from his contemporaries, some were ancient, passed down through generations of sailors, and one, a worn sketch with notes in Spanish, is said to have belonged to none other than Christopher Columbus himself. Piri Reis is not just copying. He is a detective, a synthesizer, piecing together a scattered puzzle of the known world. In a corner of the room, a young apprentice struggles to keep the lamps lit against the drafts, his face reflecting the flickering light. The shelves around them groan under the weight of leather-bound logbooks and scrolls of unfinished charts. Through the window, you can just make out the silhouette of a galleon, fighting its way through the stormy sea, a stark reminder of the dangers these men face to gather this very information. But the real magic, the heart of the mystery, is on the parchment under Piri Reis's hand. With a steady, practiced motion, he adds a mountain range to a landmass we now know as South America. The coastlines of West Africa and Europe are there, astonishingly accurate for the time. But it's what else is on the map that sends chills down your spine. The map shows the eastern coast of the Americas with remarkable detail. Think about that for a moment. In 1513, only 2 decades after Columbus's first voyage, European exploration of the Americas was still in its infancy. How could Piri Reis, working from his workshop in the Ottoman Empire, have a map that depicted the coastline of South America so precisely, including rivers like the Amazon? He wasn't just guessing. The details are too specific. He must have had access to information that has since been lost to history. Piri Reis himself wrote notes on the map, explaining his sources. He mentioned that he used Columbus's maps for the Caribbean and the American coast. This is fascinating because no known map drawn by Columbus himself has ever been found. The Piri Reis map might be the closest we'll ever get to seeing the world through Columbus. It suggests that Columbus may have known or discovered far more than he is officially credited for. But the puzzle deepens. Let's look at the very bottom of the map. There, you'll see a coastline that continues eastward from the tip of South America. For years, this was dismissed as a fantasy, or perhaps a depiction of the South American coast, bent to fit the parchment. But in the 20th century, a new, electrifying theory emerged. What if that landmass isn't South America at all? What if it's Antarctica? Now, hold on. Antarctica wasn't officially sighted until 1820, over 300 years after Piri Reis drew his map, and it was completely covered in a thick ice sheet. But here's the kicker. The coastline on the Piri Reis map appears to be ice-free. It shows bays, islands, and land features that are currently buried under thousands of feet of ice. Seismic surveys conducted in the mid-20th century confirmed that the subglacial landmass of Antarctica does, in fact, closely match the coastline drawn by Piri Reis. How is this even possible? This question launched 1,000 theories, the most famous, championed by Professor Charles Hapgood in his book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, proposed that the Piri Reis map was based on even older source maps. Maps created by a highly advanced, lost ancient civilization. A civilization with the technology to accurately map the entire globe, including Antarctica, before it was covered in ice. According to Hapgood's theory, this prehistoric seafaring culture mapped the world thousands of years ago, during a time when the Earth's climate was different and the Antarctic ice cap was either smaller or non-existent. These original maps were then copied and passed down through millennia, from the Phoenicians to the Greeks, ending up in the Great Library of Alexandria. When the library was destroyed, some maps may have been saved, eventually finding their way to Constantinople and, finally, into the hands of Piri Reis. It's a mind-bending idea. Could there have been a forgotten chapter of human history, a civilization so advanced that their knowledge was lost, only to reappear as faint lines on a 16th century Ottoman map? It sounds like something out of an Indiana Jones movie, but the evidence on the map itself is hard to ignore. Of course, mainstream historians and cartographers are skeptical. They offer more grounded explanations. One theory is that Piri Reis, or his sources, simply made a mistake. They might have taken the coastline of South America and, due to the limited space on the animal hide, curved it eastward, drawing it from imagination and sailors' tales of a terra australis, a mythical southern land. It's a plausible explanation. Sailors at the time were prone to embellishment, and cartographers often filled in the blanks with educated guesses and fantastic beasts. Another argument points to the map's projection. The Piri Reis map doesn't use a modern projection like the Mercator we're all used to. It's a portolan chart, designed for navigation, with radiating lines from central compass roses. Some scholars argue that when you account for the distortions inherent in this type of projection, the Antarctic-like landmass is simply a distorted representation of the Patagonian and Tierra del Fuego coast. They believe that what looks like an ice-free Antarctica is just a coincidence, a case of us seeing patterns where none exists. But these explanations don't fully satisfy the mystery. Why are the details so specific? Why do they match subglacial topography? And what about the other anomalies? The map seems to show islands in the Caribbean that were not on European charts for many decades. It depicts the Andes Mountains, which weren't explored by Europeans until Pizarro's expedition years later. The Piri Reis map was presented to the Ottoman Sultan Selim I in 1517. It was part of a larger world map, but unfortunately, only this fragment, showing the Atlantic and its coastlines, has survived. For centuries, it lay forgotten in the archives of the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul. It was only rediscovered in 1929, sparking the debate that continues to this day. So what are we left with? We have a genuine 16th century artifact, created by a respected admiral and a cartographer. It contains information that, by all conventional historical accounts, he should not have possessed. We have two main camps, one that believes it's evidence of a lost, ancient civilization with advanced knowledge, and another that believes it's a combination of brilliant cartography, lucky guesswork, and misinterpreted data. The truth is, we may never know for sure. The other source maps Piri Reis used are lost. The rest of his great world map is gone. All we have is this single, tantalizing piece of parchment. It's a snapshot of a moment when the world was rapidly expanding, when old knowledge met new discoveries on the high seas. As the storm rages outside his workshop, Piri Reis lays down his final brushstroke. He looks at his creation, a synthesis of ancient secrets and modern exploration. Does he understand the full implication of what he has drawn? Does he know that 500 years later, we would be looking at his work, asking these same questions? Perhaps the map's greatest secret isn't a lost continent or an ancient civilization. Perhaps its true power is its ability to ignite our imagination, to challenge what we think we know about our past, and to remind us that the world is, and always has been, full of mystery. What do you think? Is the Piri Reis map a message from a forgotten past, or a brilliant but flawed masterpiece of its time? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more historical mysteries.